I had always believed that marriage required honesty, respect, and loyalty. My wife, Leena, and I had been together for nearly a decade, sharing dreams, responsibilities, and the kind of life that felt secure and predictable. I never imagined that in the span of a single confession, everything I had built would crumble. It started on a quiet evening, the kind where the world seems to pause and small things carry unexpected weight. Lena sat across from me at the kitchen table, her hands folded in her lap, and a faint tension around her shoulders that I had learned to recognize. I sensed that something was wrong, though I had no idea how devastating it would be. "I need to tell you something," she began, her voice unusually calm, almost clinical. "I've been unfaithful." For a moment, the words didn't register. My mind struggled to comprehend the statement, to find a logical context where it could fit. My wife cheating? The person I trusted implicitly, the partner I had shared my life with, had betrayed me. "What do you mean?" I asked slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked me directly in the eyes, and in that gaze, there was no remorse, no guilt, no shame. "I cheated," she said again. "I don't regret it. It was something I wanted to do." The words struck me like a physical blow. Not the betrayal itself. I had suspected subtle signs over the past months, but the utter lack of remorse, the complete absence of acknowledgement for the pain she had caused. This was not a mistake. This was a choice she had made consciously, without regret, and now she was announcing it as if it were inconsequential. I felt a mixture of shock, anger, and disbelief. Most people might have argued, begged for an explanation, or tried to understand the reasoning behind such a confession. But I realized quickly that no words, no rationalization could repair the magnitude of this betrayal. The problem was not just infidelity, it was the callousness, the audacity, and the deliberate dismissal of the commitment we had shared. I spent the night in silence, grappling with the enormity of what I had been told. I thought about our marriage, the trust we had cultivated, and the foundation that had been shattered in a single conversation. Sleep eluded me as I contemplated the next steps. This was not a situation that could be smoothed over with apologies or vague promises. This was a rupture, a betrayal that demanded decisive action. The very next morning, I made my decision. I couldn't allow someone who had chosen betrayal, and who showed no remorse for it, to remain in the home we had built together. There was no negotiation, no compromise. This was about boundaries, accountability, and self-respect. I calmly packed her belongings while she still slept, methodically placing her clothes, personal items, and valuables into boxes. There was no confrontation, no shouting, no public spectacle, just quiet, deliberate action. When she awoke, she found the boxes lined up by the door, a clear and irreversible statement. "What? What is this?" she asked, her voice a mixture of shock and indignation. "I'm asking you to leave," I said evenly. "You confessed to betrayal without regret. I cannot live with someone who dismisses our marriage, our trust, and our shared life so casually. You have made your choice, and now you must face the consequences of it." Her protests were weak, almost comical in their desperation. She attempted to twist the narrative, to argue that she had been honest, or that we could work through this, but I remained resolute. Honesty does not excuse cruelty. Confession does not erase the choice. Betrayal, especially without remorse, demands accountability. Friends and family were shocked when I explained the situation. Some questioned the severity of my response, expecting negotiation, counseling, or attempts at reconciliation. But they understood eventually that the betrayal was not a momentary lapse. It was a conscious, unrepentant decision. Allowing her to remain would have undermined every boundary, every value, and every lesson about respect and loyalty. The aftermath was difficult, of course. Emotional turbulence, logistical challenges, and the weight of disrupted routines pressed down. But there was also clarity. By acting decisively, calmly, and with purpose, I reclaimed control over my life and refused to allow betrayal to dictate the terms of my existence. I realized, through this painful process, that some relationships cannot be salvaged by conversation alone. When a partner chooses infidelity without regret, when they refuse to acknowledge the pain they have caused, the only meaningful response is decisive action. Leaving, enforcing boundaries, and demanding accountability are not acts of vengeance, they are acts of self-respect. Over the following weeks, I rebuilt routines, reinforced stability for my family, and focused on emotional healing. The betrayal remained a scar, but one that carried a profound lesson. Trust is sacred, choices have consequences, and unrepentant betrayal cannot coexist with mutual respect. Leena's departure marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The act of removing her from my life, of setting boundaries and enforcing them without anger or chaos, demonstrated that integrity, calm decisiveness, and self-respect are more powerful than prolonged negotiation with someone unwilling to honor commitment. In retrospect, I understand that betrayal is not just an act, it is a reflection of character. Choosing to betray without remorse reveals priorities, values, and moral alignment. Confronting that truth with calm decisiveness restores balance, reinforces self-worth, and prevents further manipulation or harm. By throwing her out the very next day, I affirm that betrayal carries consequences, that choices are meaningful, and that boundaries are not negotiable. The experience, though painful, reinforced the importance of self-respect, clarity, and decisive action when confronted with unrepentant betrayal. Betrayal without regret is a challenge, but it is also an opportunity to reclaim agency, enforce boundaries, and demonstrate that integrity and calm resolve are stronger than deceit and arrogance. I learned that in facing betrayal directly, with clarity and purpose, one can navigate the chaos without compromising dignity or values. The memory of that confession and the action that followed remains a reminder that trust, once broken, demands accountability, and that calm, decisive enforcement of boundaries is the most powerful response to unrepentant betrayal.